gonna make Kick-Ass pay for what he did to my dad.
Yo, Kick-Ass!
I'm building an evil army.
Who is this guy?
He's claiming to be the world's first real supervillain.
Henry, Kick-Ass 1 came out as a kind of left field, purely pleasurable success, didn't it? Does the lightning strike twice?
For me, it didn't really. I really like Kick-Ass 1 because it sort of tackled the pomposity of a lot of superhero films. And since then, that film came out 4 years ago, since then we've had things like Man of Steel and the Avengers movie, which to some degree or another have that same like self-important sense, I guess, and very full of honour and justice and about these heroes.
So the Demolition Job didn't work?
It didn't really, no. I mean, like, because this film's come back around now, and it's trying to do the same scruffy, violent, funny thing that the first film did, but to me it's just not funny enough to carry it. And fatally, there's a point where Kick-Ass says, this isn't a comic book, this is real life. And then we're supposed to believe afterwards that the fight scenes that they're in, where there's blood spraying everywhere and it's incredibly gratuitous, don't mean anything anymore. And as soon as you're told and pulled out of the fantasy that this isn't just comic book violence, then you suddenly think, well, actually, you know, this is a bit gratuitous and grotesque in its own sense as well. So it didn't really have that same light-hearted touch, and it didn't have the same puerile sense of humour that the first one did, and that's why the first one worked for me and this one doesn't.
Would you agree with that? It's a case of loyalties, isn't it? The first film was kind of outside the tent pissing in, and this has kind of almost been brought on side a bit.
Yeah, I thought that it wasn't really upending the genre now. It was slightly kind of paying homage to the genre, really, especially Spider-Man. There's lots of, giving your word to your dad that you would do something and then being forced not to do it over and over again, real Spider-Man stuff. I love the first Kick-Ass movie. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And it's still got a lot of that scrappiness, and it still looks good compared to the pompous sort of Man of Steel.
I kind of like the fight scenes that are proper kind of brawls, aren't they? They're kind of messy.
She's very good. Grace, Chloe Moretz is very, very good indeed. And her fight stuff, her martial arts stuff, body double though it may be, is still very good. It looks very, very strong indeed. And her storyline of having to abandon her superhero strength to be a pathetic teenage girl, I think is really interesting.
Watching boy bands.
Watching boy bands. I thought that was great stuff. That sort of teen movie Clueless stuff they went to was really good. It was part of what made the first film so good. But all this stuff about loads and loads of new superheroes, a big kind of crew of villains versus a crew of heroes, pretty has-been stuff, I think. And Jim Carrey went for nothing, really. He had very little to do. His part as Colonel Stars and Stripes, kind of underwritten and uninteresting. So Chloe Moretz keeps it afloat, in my view. She's still really good, and he kind of has that sass that the first movie has, but it's sort of losing it, I think.
What was the deal with Jim Carrey? He signed up for this film and then had buyer's remorse and decided he didn't like it.
He came out on Twitter saying, I think shortly after they finished filming, saying, I'm not supporting this film because of Sandy Hook and gun violence, and I can't be tied to a film like this.
And yet he made Ace Ventura 2.
Great film. But actually, he's not, in terms of gun violence, there isn't an awful lot of gunplay in this film, whether they toned that down because of sensibilities around Sandy Hook, maybe. He's not incredibly violent in this film. I thought he was actually quite a good fit for the part, and he walks that line between the comedy element of the film, which there wasn't enough of for me, and then the heavy drama that director Jeff Wadlow tries to put into it as well. Jim Carrey is the kind of actor who can walk in both of those genres and feel just about right with a ridiculous character like Colonel Stars and Stripes. So it is kind of strange for him to kind of come out and trash and burn the film after he's been in it.
It's very strange. You needed a kind of older man presence in the ranks of the superheroes, and the last time, of course, that was brilliantly Nick Cage.
He was great.
Absolutely brilliant, doing that kind of Bruce Wayne voice. But really, I suppose they wanted Jim Carrey to be like that, to give us some kind of grounding and anchoring to all these kids. And maybe he just did a lot of scenes and they had to cut them or something, I don't know. But he really wasn't in the film very much, to be honest. And when he was in the film, he wasn't really delivering that Jim Carrey kind of live wire stuff that we were hoping for, not at all.
But Nick Cage's character in the first one, he understands, I think Nick Cage understood the ridiculousness of the situation. And in this one, you have lots of shots of the empty pseudo-Batman suit that he used to wear. And you just think that's an analogy.
And the cheesy photo of him on the wall.
Oh, exactly, but that's an analogy for the film, or a visual metaphor for the film, because you think you're really missing a Nick Cage.
But basically, the film had a really good story of Kick-Ass and Hit-Girl's kind of quasi-sibling relationship. It wasn't really a romantic relationship, quasi-sibling relationship triangulated by Nick Cage at the top. Now we don't have anything like that at all. We just have a sort of miscellaneous selection of new heroes and new villains, some of whom are quite funny. And really, there's this one, I think, teen girl storyline which really makes sense dramatically, but not much else.
My daddy made me promise I'd never stop defending this city. I'm prepared for anything.
We gotta make this right. The anticipation's killing me. There's no room for punks in suits. Just real heroes who can really kick ass.
When you go back to your hometown, you feel alienated.
I suggest you get on your way.
Most of the parts that I play are just things that I got.
It's that thing when you...
There's a more true version of yourself.
You got a very attractive young lady over there staying with you.